Greetings, my Make Loudians. Welcome to another episode of The Sounds of Loud. Today we're going to be branching into a new area, and I'll explain a little bit what I'm talking about. I was sitting on the couch just about a half an hour ago watching The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and as the show went to break, the band started playing this kind of upbeat funk tune. I don't even know what it was. I recognized the lick, but I don't know the name of the song. And the horn section was playing something that sounded a little bit like this. This happened to be the guitar that I had in my hand. This is my kit-built Fender Jazz Bass copy. And I just love that lick. I think it's really cool. And it sounds really, really good when played by a horn section, which I am not a horn section. I don't know that I have ever even actually played an instrument that you blow into other than a recorder. Never played a reed instrument, never played the flute or the trumpet or anything like that. Afraid to try, honestly. I just, for whatever reason, as uncoordinated as I am with my hands, I am much more confident using those than I am using my face for any constructive purpose whatsoever. But I did, for Christmas, one of the many generous gifts that I got, almost all of them music related, was a MIDI sample pack of horn sounds. And what I'd like to try and do, and I'm going to do it here in real time, and hopefully be able to figure it out, is how to convert that lick, this right here, into a horn section. And so I'm going to switch camera views. I'm going to turn on my keyboard and open up the Studio One screen, and we're going to go through it together. Okay, so I've got the Studio One session open, and I am going to go over here to the browser, open up Instruments, and then over here under Contact, you can see that I have Vintage Horns and Vintage Horns 2. And for this particular situation, I'm going to use the Vintage Horns. It's going to take a moment to load this in. And the reason I'm using this is because the two packs are a little bit different. The Vintage Horns is kind of more straight ahead instrumentation and playing styles. Vintage Horns 2 kind of introduces a little bit more, like it has like more of a growly saxophone and some other variations on playing style. I want to do this pretty straight up. And the other thing is that the Vintage Horns pack, unlike Vintage Horns 2, came with these things called multis. And they're sort of like pre-constructed horn sections. And I want to mimic those, but I haven't quite figured out how to make them work most effectively. I don't know why this is not pulling this in, or maybe it's thinking about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually recreate one of those horn sections, and in my ignorance, I'll show you this. I made this cheat sheet, which you can see has along the top all these different names of these horn sections. So, for example, this one right here, JB's section. So this is James Brown, and he was well known for having trumpet, trombone, alto, tenor, and baritone sax. And you can see like there's a big band one that has like 13 instruments, and then there's a couple of Philly and Oakland sounds and a Memphis sound, and some ones that just feature specific types of instruments like saxophones or flutes. But what we're going to be doing is, there it is. Now it seems to be loaded. We're going to be, yeah, and here's the screen where we can see all those multis. So here's the big band section, and if we toggle through, and hopefully you can see this. Let me check if this is, it's not visible. All right, I'm going to have to make this window visible. Just give me a moment. Okay, so it looks like the only way I'm really going to be able to do this is to share the whole screen. But hopefully now you can see that there's this pop-up window here that comes up when I hit this little shape here, the instrument editor, and it tells you sort of what you're using as an input source for this instrument track. And we are not going to use this other track at all. So, yes. And let's go ahead and show you the James Brown. So this is the James Brown, right? So there's a trumpet, a trombone, alto sax, tenor sax, bari sax. And you can see it's sort of loading in the sample libraries. Hopefully you can see that, the memory's counting up. And so as I play the keyboard, you can see that there's some noises coming here. It doesn't appear that we can hear those, so I might have to specify. Let me see if I can hear it if I put my headphones on. Oh, okay, we can. So hopefully you can hear those. I couldn't hear them. So we can only hear the trumpet. And I think that there's a way to specify that, for example, if I change this to also go to track 1, now I'm getting the trumpet and the trombone. But unfortunately, I can only get them playing the same note. I can't have the trumpet playing one note and the trombone playing like a perfect fifth above it or something like that. Like I can't make chordal sounds. So unless I want to have everything be all the same, and let's go ahead and demonstrate what that would sound like if we did it. So if we set up all of these instruments to go there, first of all, you can see how it just kind of becomes sort of a very synthetic sounding beep. But you also see that the baritone sax isn't coming on. And that's because the baritone sax doesn't exist in those registers as part of the sample library. So down here, if I want it to sound like a truck horn, I can do that. But I don't want a truck horn sound. I want this to sound like James Brown's band. So we're not going to use the multis. And if I change this and then change it back, hopefully I didn't permanently mess that up. So let's just go and quickly check and make sure that I didn't permanently destroy that. Yeah, so you can see that they're still going to 1, 2, 3, MIDI channels 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're not going to use the multis. We're just going to use the standard vintage horn instrument. And then here we can pick an individual instrument. Okay, all right. We fumbled and fussed for a little while, and eventually we got it to work. So what I was able to do was using different instances of the Contact Player, I was able to put in each of the 5 instruments in the James Brown section. So when I open it up, you can see here is the trumpet, here's the trombone, etc. And they each have their own separate track. Here I have to record enable. So you can see that that one is definitely a trombone. And if I go to this one, that's definitely a baritone sax. So now I finally have all of the different instruments that I want. So what I'll do next, I'll close out the player, and we'll go ahead and we'll quickly paste in all the notes from that little riff that I made. So hold on one second while we do that. Okay, so I've opened up the editor because this helps me know whether I'm playing the actual right notes. So we're going to start on E, that's our note. We're just going to play this riff one half at a time because I'm such a terrible keyboard player. I actually need to look down and move my hands. So these are going to be our notes. And you'll see that over here on the side, there's this little section of the keyboard that's got red around it. And you can see when I hover over it, the labels change to different types of notes. So we're going to use that later. But for now, whoops, that's it. So let's just go ahead and record those. We'll put on let's pick a nice tempo here. All right, that seems good. And we've got to actually show our metronome. I have all this set up in a template, but template was a little complicated. Okay, so let's go ahead and record this. All right, so that's fine. That was reasonably close to being on time. Always a little bit early. All right, and so those are going to be our notes. And if we want it to be lazy, as you can see, look at that. Look at that. It reds out the ones that you can't use. So I could actually just copy this and then put my cursor here and paste it and then just move it down. So, and here we'll just take off the quantization, pull it forward a little bit. So now if we play it back, so that's the cheater's way of doing it. I don't even have to play it a second time, just because I knew that it was 5 semitones down. I just moved it copied, pasted, and moved it manually. All right, so that's the cheater's way of doing it. But this does not sound very good. So we want to add a little bit of nuance and flavor to each of those notes. So we can stretch them. So we can just kind of have them all kind of string together. And now our sound is. No, it doesn't seem to like that. Maybe that one is a little too close. So that's a little better. But what I had talked about before was these different ways of playing the notes. So you can see right now that sustain is selected. So if I play a note, it'll continue to sustain like crazy. But if I go to this, now it's, no matter how long, you can see from the blue, that I'm holding the key down, but it will only play those little short stabs. And then if I go down to this, it's more of a staccato. So it's still abbreviated, but a little bit more play. So I'm still holding the key down, but it truncates the note. And then there's, that's called a fall off. If I hover on it, yeah, you can see that fall off. That's a swell. And this is, I don't know how to pronounce that, sforzando. It's a swell, but with a stab at the beginning. And each of the instruments actually has a different set of those, which we can see if I open this up. Actually, I don't even have to do that. If I go right here under sound variations and open up this little inspector, you can see all of them. So for baritone sax, those are the ones. For something like soprano flute, there's a different set of them. And for flugelhorn, there's a different set. So, and then trumpet has these things called shakes. So if I go here, oops, and go, oh, I have to pick the right instrument. So if I go over here to trumpet, okay, you don't need to see that. So if I go to trumpet, and do that, and we'll turn off the bari sax. So now if I on trumpet select that seventh articulation, it has that kind of shaky, what's called a shake, that sort of squealy sound. Does not have it in the lower registers. I don't know why it's giving me a problem here. Here, let me open this up. Trumpet open. So that's, you can see how it's lighting up which one it is. So that's a stab. And if I go all the way down to the shakes, it'll play that in those high registers. It will not play this note because there's no articulation for it, but if I switch it to this, it'll play it as a sforzando. This is probably getting a little bit too deep into the weeds, but you can see how each of these different articulations gives you a different type of sound. So let's leave this open because this is helpful. We'll get rid of trumpet. We'll go back to bari sax. This is what we were on. We'll change this to baritone sax. And then we'll pick from those. So how do we want this to sound? So it's playing them all as sforzando. So I can go into each individual one and change the articulation. So I can make this first one to be, if I go here, I can change this first one to be a stab. And then the second one, I should be able to change this one to sustain. So this one is stab, this one is sustain. And that one will make this one a sustain. This one staccato. This one also staccato. And do fall-offs for those two. Okay. So you can hear how there's now a little bit more character to it. And, oh, so here they are. They're down here below. So yeah, so I can change what the sound variations are going to be. Oh, I didn't even see that down here at the bottom. So it's mapping them here. I had thought that it would change the color of the note in here. It might do that if I do it while playing, since these were all recorded as the same. We'll try that when we record something else. So we had, this one will be, all right, so that's stab, that's fine. And then stab, sustain. This will also be sustain. These two will be staccato. Oh, that was nice and efficient. And then these two will be fall-offs. All right, now let's listen to it. So it's a little bit different than if they were all the same kind of note type. Now, let's just take this same piece of audio, go back to the beginning, and then let's paste it in here for the tenor sax. So for the tenor sax, let's see if the sound variations carried over. We'll load in our tenor sax sound variations. And yeah, so we're editing this. So it looks like they're all here. So without having them loaded in, it seemed like they weren't playing them. Now it is playing them. And I think we could even change them. So let's do that. Let's change this one to a sustain and this one to a stab. I don't know why we would do that. And we'll do the same thing for this here. Sustain. And we'll make this one a stab. Okay. Okay. Oh, and we may have these notes a little bit too low for the tenor sax. So let's pull this whole thing up an octave. So here, go from here. Okay, so we can actually hear both instruments. Let's solo this instrument to make sure we're hearing all the notes. So yeah, we're getting all the notes for that. Cool. Let's keep on having fun with this. So this time we'll copy this one right in here to alto sax. Oops. Okay, here we go. It's because I'm using a bend marker tool. All right. And now, let's listen to this, just this instrument. Okay, and it's missing that last note because that's probably below what it can play. So instead of just moving everything, let's see, this is a C. Let's just move it up. Let's just play that as like an inversion. And we'll do this one as an inversion too. What was it? It was a G. Okay, so let's play it. Why not? Okay, and then if we load in the articulations, so this was an alto sax, so let's put the alto sax in. Now let's play the same thing. So we have to load in the articulations for each individual track in order for them to be there. Otherwise, as you could see, it was just playing everything as though it was a sustained note, which is the default. Pretty cool. Now let's take off the soloing and let's see how it sounds together. It's kind of fun with that inversion in there. Okay, let's see how all this sounds with the trombone. So we'll take the bari sax and we'll copy this because I think that's in the same register as the trombone. We'll paste that in. Let's solo it. Let's see if we're getting all the sounds. We're not getting that last one. So it seems like this low E is the lowest. So we'll do this one as an inversion, but we won't do the other one. So we'll just move this C out right about there. Okay. Now let's try it again. And so that we get the downward motion, let's also move this one. So that's E. Okay. All right. And now let's do the same thing. Trombone, we'll add our articulations. You can see it pasted them all in right there. And it followed the pattern of the bari sax. And what's interesting is you saw how this note did not play. And it's assigned a articulation that doesn't exist. It's assigned fall-offs, and they're oh no, I guess it is, but maybe it doesn't exist for that note. So not all the articulations are. So if this note is too close to the bottom of the register, it can't fall off. So maybe this one will change to a staccato. And let's see if it plays it now. Not sure why this one didn't play. Stab. Should. Maybe some sort of anomaly. Because it's listed as a fall off, but there is no such thing. So let's change this to a a sustain. Okay. Okay, so now we're getting all the notes. So let's go back to the beginning and take off the soloing, and let's see how it all sounds together. Fun. And if you're looking, maybe you can see how the articulations are changing as we're playing through. Let's go ahead and let's take alto sax, and we'll copy this one. No, we won't. Let's take tenor sax. We'll copy this one. And we'll put it in here where the trumpet is. And we will move this whole thing up. Let's get this over where we can see it. Okay, let's grab all these notes, and we're going to move them from up another octave. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's just solo this instrument. And we have the articulations in here. But maybe let's do this. Let's erase all of them. So we get rid of all the articulations using that erase tool, and let's just listen to it plain vanilla. Okay. So what I want to do here is I actually want to elongate that note, and we're definitely going to make that a shake if we can. We're going to make this one a shake also. Okay. And then all of these, nope, not that one. All of these will make those sustained. In fact, let's have a little bit of fun. So let's try sforzando, stab, all right, let's try that. And then wait, so what did we do here? So we went sforzando, stab, okay. So then this one we'll do the same thing. Sforzando, stab, staccato. These two can be sustain. Okay. Okay. So these are not low enough to be, or these are not high enough to be shakes. They'd have to be up. So let's, instead of completely butchering this this rhythm, let's just go ahead and make those fall-offs. I think that we have enough room to do that. Okay. Ah, that's fun. Okay. Now let's play it all together. So hopefully you can see, as artless as this may be, I'm not thinking like a horn player, and I'm clearly just, copying and pasting notes. So there's not a lot of variation between these. If I really wanted this to sound good, I would try to actually play it in rhythm, and there would be some, natural variations between the way the notes are constructed, rather than this note being the same for all 5 instruments. But what you can see is that by using different instances of the MIDI pack and using these articulations, I'm able to simulate something that sounds like humans actually playing together. They may not be the most highly skilled humans, but it does sound more like a horn section. Let's listen to it one more time. In any case, it's much better than that very synthetic truck horn sounding beep that I got using the multi-instrument pack. So I'm going to keep playing with this and try to get a little bit better at it and a little faster at it, and maybe not so much swearing and off-camera time. You guys missed a lot of that. But hopefully this was informational to you. It gave you some ideas about what MIDI packs can do, and these sound variations or articulations, everybody calls them something different. In Studio One, they are called sound variations, and how they can be different for each individual instrument. And what I'll show you is like here on the trumpet. So there's sustain. So let's go a little farther down. Let's just try one thing here. So if we hit record, okay. So let's look at these notes. No, see, it didn't, but you see how it recorded, it captured the changes that I did using my left hand here, switching between the sustain and the staccato, right? Sustain. Oh, I guess I was doing this, sustain and staccato. So it does capture it. So if you are skilled enough to do different things with your left hand and your right hand, you can actually play live and get the different articulations that you want. I'm still not accustomed to thinking of the different articulations that I want in anything more than just really that difference between a sustained note and something shorter. I'm not really thinking about swells and sforzando, which I can't even pronounce. But that's something that maybe you have the skill as a keyboard player to do, and hopefully I will develop that skill over time. But here it is, it shows me the sound variations that are there, and if I wanted to, I imagine I could change. Can I change it right there? Yeah, I could change it right there. So yeah, now I could be like, what would it sound like? And you can see that the fall-offs won't fall off if the note isn't long enough. So if I make this note longer, now it will actually fall off. So that's nice. And it will carry the character of whatever the articulation is when the note initiates. So you can see that right about here, even though that note is still playing, the articulation switches to sustain, but that's only for whatever notes come after. Any note that's already started will continue to fall off. Pretty cool. Okay, I think that's going to be it for me. Let's see. Let's switch over to this camera. So hopefully that was interesting to you, and that you learned something. If you did, hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I like comments. I definitely read them all. I answer most of them. And until we meet again, stay loud, and we'll talk to you soon.